The signal and first contact. The signal arrived on a Tuesday. Commander Maya Chen was reviewing maintenance reports in the cramped control room of Outpost Epsilon, humanity's furthest deep space listening station, when the transmission array suddenly spiked. Maya had spent 3 years at this remote outpost orbiting a nameless gas giant in the Cygnus arm, and in all that time, the array had never registered anything beyond routine cosmic background radiation and the occasional pulsar. "Commander, you need to see this," called Lieutenant Rahul Patel, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface as he tried to isolate the signal. "It's structured, definitely artificial." Maya moved to his station, her heart racing. Humanity had been searching for extraterrestrial intelligence for centuries. Despite colonizing a dozen systems, they had found only ruins and remnants of long-extinct civilizations. Nothing alive. Nothing that could send a message. "Origin?" she asked, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "The Scutum Centaurus arm, approximately 7,000 light-years from Earth." Rahul's voice trembled slightly. "And Commander, it's being transmitted on all frequencies simultaneously. Whatever sent this wanted to make absolutely certain it was heard." When they finally isolated and decoded the message, it was disarmingly simple. "To any who receive this, we are the last of the Voxari collective. A shadow consumes the stars. We plead for aid, though we have no right to ask. If compassion exists in this cold universe, answer our call." The message repeated, again and again, a desperate echo across the void. Within 24 hours, the United Earth Defense Council had convened an emergency session. Representatives from all human colonies gathered virtually, their faces grim as they debated the implications of the message. "It could be a trap," argued Admiral Hassan, his weathered face filling the main screen. "Throughout history, predators have used distress calls to lure in prey. Or it could be genuine," countered Dr. Eliza Morozova, Earth's leading xenolinguist. "The structure of the message suggests sincerity. There's a vulnerability in its composition that would be difficult to fake." The debate raged for hours until Fleet Admiral Lin Zhao, a veteran of the Mars conflict and the most decorated officer in Earth's history, raised her hand for silence. "We've spent centuries wondering if we're alone in the universe," she said quietly. "Now we know we're not. If we ignore this call for help, what does that say about us as a species? Whatever awaits us out there, trap or genuine plea, we have a duty to investigate." 3 months later, the UES Horizon, Earth's most advanced warship, emerged from its jump at the coordinates indicated by the alien transmission. Captain Kaido Nakamura stood on the bridge, gazing at the view screen as the stars stabilized around them. The Horizon carried Earth's finest, a crew of 120 specialists selected from across human space, along with Dr. Morozova and a contingent of Marines led by Colonel Darius King. They were prepared for first contact, for diplomacy, for war, or so they thought. What they were not prepared for was the devastation that greeted them. The star system before them was in ruins. The central star pulsed an angry red, its outer layers stripped away by some unknown force. Of the 9 planets that once orbited it, only 3 remained intact. The others had been reduced to asteroid fields, their shattered cores still glowing with residual heat. "Life signs?" Kaido asked, his voice barely audible. Lieutenant Sophia Rice, the ship's sensor officer, shook her head in disbelief. "One small cluster, Captain. On the 3rd planet, and they're fading." As the Horizon approached the planet, once lush and blue according to spectral analysis, now a cracked and burning husk, they detected a single structure on the surface. A dome of iridescent material that somehow survived whatever cataclysm had befallen this world. The away team consisted of Kaido, Dr. Morozova, Colonel King, and Lieutenant Commander Asim Chakrabarti, the ship's chief engineer. They descended to the surface in a shuttle, protected by environmental suits against the toxic atmosphere. The dome reacted to their approach, a section of its surface becoming transparent as they neared. Inside, they could see tall, willowy figures with luminescent skin moving slowly among complex machinery. "They're dying," Dr. Morozova whispered as they entered through an airlock that materialized in the dome's side. "Their biosigns are extremely weak." The aliens, the Voxari, were beautiful in an unearthly way. Standing nearly 3 meters tall, their bodies were vaguely humanoid, but with 4 arms and skin that rippled with bioluminescent patterns. Their faces had no mouths, only large compound eyes that shimmered with intelligence, and now with desperate hope. One of them approached the humans, its movements graceful despite obvious weakness. It raised a hand, and a holographic interface appeared between them. "You came," appeared the words, translated from the complex patterns of light dancing across the alien skin. "We feared none would hear us. We feared all was lost." "We heard your message," Kaito replied. "We've come to help if we can." The alien's skin pulsed with what might have been relief or gratitude. "I am Sealar, last speaker of the Voxari Collective. Once we spanned 1,000 worlds. Now we are 27 survivors." "What happened here?" Colonel King asked, his soldier's eyes scanning the dome for threats. Sealar's response came slowly, as if each word cost precious energy. "They came from between the stars. We called them the Void Eaters. They are not alive as you or I understand life. They are absence given form, hunger without satiation." The holographic display shifted to show recordings from the Voxari's fall. The humans watched in horror as massive, shadowy entities descended upon planets, absorbing light, matter, and energy until nothing remained but husks. "They consume everything," Sealar continued. "Life, light, thought, even the stellar matter of suns. They have devoured 37 civilizations that we know of. Ours is merely the latest." "How did you survive?" Dr. Morozova asked, gesturing to the dome. "This is our last sanctuary. It exists partially outside normal spacetime, but our power fades. We have days, perhaps hours before the shield fails, and the last of us join our fallen kin." Kaito stepped forward. "We came to help. Tell us what you need." The alien's skin rippled with a pattern that Dr. Morozova's translator interpreted as bitter amusement. "What we need, young species, is salvation from a force you cannot comprehend. What we need is impossible." Colonel King straightened his shoulders. "Let us be the judge of what's impossible for humanity." Sealar studied them silently for a long moment. "Very well. Come, I will show you what we face." The Voxari led them deeper into the dome, where a massive device hummed with energy. Around it, the remaining aliens worked frantically, their skin patterns flashing with increasingly urgent communications. "This is a temporal observatory," Sealar explained. "It allows us to see events across space and time. We have been tracking the Void Eaters, trying to understand their nature, their weaknesses, if they have any." The device activated, projecting a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy. Dark tendrils spread through it like cancer, systems winking out as they passed. "They move in patterns we cannot predict," Sealar continued, "but we have calculated their next target with 94% certainty." The map zoomed in on a familiar spiral arm. "Your home system, Earth. They will arrive in approximately 73 of your days." Silence fell over the human team as the implications sank in. "Why?" Lieutenant Commander Chakrabarty finally asked. "Why target Earth specifically?" Sealar's skin dimmed slightly. "The Void Eaters are drawn to potential, to possibility. Your species burns brightly in the tapestry of potential futures. They hunger for what you might become." Colonel King's face hardened. "Can they be fought? Can they be killed?" "We tried for centuries," Sealar responded. "Antimatter weapons, quantum disruptors, even targeted nova. Nothing affected them. They exist partially outside conventional physics. There must be something," Kaito insisted. "Some weakness." Sealar hesitated, skin flickering with complex patterns. "There is a theory, unproven. desperate, perhaps suicidal. "We're listening," Dr. Morozova said softly. "The Void Eaters exist by negating reality, by creating absence. They are anti-existence incarnate. We theorize that they might be vulnerable to a concentrated burst of existence, of conscious will and determined purpose." Lieutenant Commander Chakrabarty's brow furrowed. "I don't understand. Consciousness itself, particularly consciousness with strong intent, affects quantum reality in ways science is only beginning to understand. We theorize that a massive coordinated burst of conscious will, focused through a quantum amplifier, might disrupt their non-existence. Like fighting darkness with light," Dr. Morozova mused. "Precisely. But we lack the numbers, and more importantly, the specific neurological structure needed to generate such a concentration of will. The Voxeri mind is diffuse, collective, lacking the singular focus your species possesses." Colonel King stepped forward, his expression intent. "Are you saying humans have the right kind of brains for this crazy plan? Your species evolved as focused predators and problem solvers. Your minds generate remarkable coherence when united in purpose. Yes, theoretically, you might succeed where we failed." Cato exchanged glances with his team, seeing in their eyes the same determination he felt. "What would we need to do?" Before Sealer could answer, alarms sounded throughout the dome. The remaining Voxeri moved with sudden urgency, their skin patterns flashing warnings. "They have found us." Sealer's translation appeared, the letters trembling. "The last barrier is failing." Through the transparent section of the dome, they could see it now, a darkness deeper than the void, spreading across the ruined planet's sky. Where it touched, matter simply ceased to exist, leaving nothing but emptiness. "You must go," Sealer urged. "Take this." The alien handed Dr. Morozova a crystalline device. "All our research, our theories, the designs for the quantum amplifier. It is yours now." "Come with us," Cato insisted. "We have room aboard our ship." Sealer's skin pulsed with what might have been gratitude. "We cannot. We are too weak to survive the journey, and someone must remain to ensure your escape." As if to emphasize the point, the darkness outside grew, tendrils of nothingness probing at the dome's surface. Where they touched, the iridescent material dimmed. "We can't just leave you here to die," Colonel King argued. "You must. For your world. For all worlds that might yet survive." Sealer turned to the control panel. "We will channel our remaining energy to shield your departure. When you return to your world, warn them. Prepare them. Be what we could not." The human team reluctantly retreated to their shuttle, the crystalline device clutched in Dr. Morozova's hands. As they lifted off, they watched through the view screen as the darkness consumed the dome. The last thing they saw was Sealer, standing tall among the remaining Voxeri, their combined bioluminescence flaring in one final defiant burst against the encroaching void. Then there was nothing but emptiness where the dome had stood. Aboard the horizon, Captain Nakamura called an emergency meeting. The senior staff gathered in the briefing room, faces grim as Dr. Morozova connected the alien device to the ship's systems. "The data is clear," she said as charts and diagrams filled the holographic display. "The Void Eaters are real, and they're coming for Earth. According to the Voxeri's calculations, we have 73 days until they arrive." "Can we evacuate?" Lieutenant Rice asked. "Move our population to another system?" Colonel King shook his head. "Not in that time frame. And according to this data, nowhere would be safe for long. These things are consuming the entire galaxy, system by system." "Then we fight," Cato said simply. "We use the Voxeri's research, and we find a way." Lieutenant Commander Chakrabarty studied the technical specifications on the display. "This quantum amplifier, it's beyond our current technology. But not impossibly so. With the Voxeri designs as a starting point, we might be able to construct something similar." "And the concentrated burst of conscious will?" Colonel King asked skeptically. "How exactly do we weaponize human stubbornness?" Dr. Morozova leaned forward, The Voxeri had a theory about that too. They called it the consensus protocol. Essentially, it would link millions of human minds in a temporary neural network, focusing their combined will through the quantum amplifier. Silence fell over the room as the implications sank in. Would it be dangerous? Kaito finally asked. Dr. Morozova nodded slowly. Extremely. According to these notes, there's a significant chance of permanent neurological damage to all participants, possibly worse. Colonel King's jaw tightened. So our choices are certain death for everyone, or possible death for millions of volunteers. That's about the size of it, Dr. Morozova confirmed. Kaito looked around the table, meeting each officer's eyes in turn. We have 73 days to get home and present Earth with those options. Let's make them count. As the Horizon prepared to jump back to Earth, Kaito stood alone on the observation deck, watching the ruined star system recede. Somewhere out there in the darkness, something ancient and hungry was moving toward his home, toward everyone and everything he had ever known or loved. For the first time in his career, Captain Nakamura felt fear. True, existential fear. But alongside it, burning just as brightly, was determination. Humanity had faced extinction before. From climate collapse, from nuclear war, from the great solar flare of 2079. Each time, they had survived through sheer stubborn will and creative thinking. The Void Eaters had never encountered humans before. Perhaps that would be their undoing. Kaito turned from the viewport as the jump engines engaged. They had a world to save, and only 73 days to do it. The unthinkable response. The UES Horizon burst into Earth's solar system 48 hours later, its jump engines pushed beyond safety limits. Captain Nakamura had refused to slow down even when the chief engineer warned of potential catastrophic failure. Every minute counted now. Earth gleamed blue and beautiful against the void, blissfully unaware of the darkness approaching from across the galaxy. For a brief moment, Kaito allowed himself to drink in the sight, to remember what they were fighting for. The emergency session of the United Earth Defense Council was tense, the chamber filled to capacity with military leaders, scientists, and government officials from every human colony. Fleet Admiral Lin Zhao presided, her weathered face grave as Captain Nakamura's team presented their findings. The Voxeri were an advanced civilization. Dr. Morozova explained, projecting images of the aliens and their ruined world. By our estimates, they were at least 2,000 years ahead of us technologically, and the Void Eaters consumed them in less than a decade. Murmurs of disbelief and fear rippled through the chamber. With respect, Doctor, interrupted General Santos, Earth Defense Force's most decorated commander, are we certain these Void Eaters even exist? Could this not be some elaborate deception? In response, Dr. Morozova played the recording from the Horizon sensors, the dome vanishing into nothingness, the utter void left behind where a structure once stood. The chamber fell silent. The Voxeri gave their lives to warn us, Captain Nakamura said quietly, to give us a fighting chance. Admiral Zhao leaned forward. And what exactly is this chance? This weapon they proposed. Lieutenant Commander Chakrabarty stepped forward, projecting schematics of the quantum amplifier. The technology is complex, but not beyond our capabilities, especially with the Voxeri designs. The real challenge is the power source and the human component. Explain, ordered Admiral Zhao. Dr. Morozova took over. The amplifier requires two things: enormous energy and a massive coordinated surge of human consciousness. Billions of minds focused on a single purpose at the exact same moment. And how exactly would we achieve this consciousness surge? Asked Dr. Abernathy, the Council's senior neuroscientist, skepticism evident in her voice. The Voxeri designed a neural interface, Dr. Morozova replied, displaying the relevant schematics. It would create a temporary network linking all participating minds. Everyone would remain conscious and aware, but their mental energy would be channeled through the amplifier. The risks? Admiral Zhao asked, cutting to the heart of the matter. Dr. Morozova hesitated. Significant, possible neurological damage, memory loss. In some cases, permanent coma or death. The chamber erupted in voices, some outrage, others terrified. You're proposing we risk the minds of our citizens on an alien theory, General Santos demanded. I'm proposing we give people the choice to fight for their existence, Captain Nakamura countered, his voice rising above the din. Because in 71 days, there won't be any choices left to make. Admiral Zhao raised her hand for silence. When she spoke, her voice was steel. Begin construction of this quantum amplifier immediately. Divert whatever resources are needed. As for the neural interface and its risks, we will put it to a global referendum. Each person must decide for themselves whether to participate. And if not enough volunteer, asked General Santos. Admiral Zhao's gaze was unflinching. Then we die with our principles intact, General. But I have more faith in humanity than that. The next 60 days passed in a blur of frantic activity. The quantum amplifier took shape in Earth orbit, a massive construction of crystalline arrays and energy collectors that dwarfed even the largest space stations. Every manufacturing facility across human space worked around the clock, producing neural interface headsets by the millions. Dr. Morozova led a team of neurologists and quantum physicists, refining the interface design to minimize risks. Lieutenant Commander Chakrabarty oversaw the amplifier construction, pushing engineering teams beyond what they thought possible. Colonel King trained defense forces for the unthinkable scenario that the plan would fail, and they would face the Void Eaters with conventional weapons, however futile that might be. And Captain Nakamura became the face of the resistance, his calm determination broadcast to every corner of human space as he explained the threat and asked for volunteers. The referendum passed with an 83% majority. Humanity had chosen to fight. With 11 days remaining, the first test of the neural network was conducted with 1 million volunteers. It failed catastrophically. 17 people suffered seizures, and the quantum field collapsed almost instantly. The pattern is unstable, Dr. Morozova explained to the emergency council meeting that followed. The human minds aren't synchronizing properly. There's too much variation, too much individual thought. Can it be fixed? Admiral Zhao demanded. Dr. Morozova and Lieutenant Commander Chakrabarty exchanged glances. We have a theory, Chakrabarty finally said, but it's radical. At this point, Commander, radical is all we have, Admiral Zhao replied. We need a focal point, Dr. Morozova explained. A single mind at the center of the network that can serve as a template, a pattern for all other minds to align with. A human being at the center of the amplifier. Captain Nakamura asked, horrified. The energy discharge would kill them instantly. Yes, Chakrabarty confirmed quietly. It would require a volunteer to sacrifice themselves to serve as the anchor for the entire network. Silence fell over the council chamber. I'll do it, said Colonel King, stepping forward. No, Captain Nakamura countered. As the one who made first contact, it should be me. Admiral Zhao silenced them both with a raised hand. This decision will be made based on neurological compatibility, not heroics. Dr. Morozova, begin scanning for ideal candidates immediately. 3 days later, they had their answer. It's you, Doctor, Captain Nakamura said softly as they stood in the medical bay, looking at the scan results. Your brain patterns show the highest potential synchronization rate with the general population. Dr. Morozova's hands trembled slightly as she reviewed her own neural scans. There must be someone else. There isn't, Chakrabarty said gently. We've scanned over 10,000 people. No one else comes close to your compatibility rating. She closed her eyes briefly. I have a daughter. She's only 7. Captain Nakamura placed a hand on her shoulder. No one would think less of you for refusing, Eliza. We'll find another way. Dr. Morozova looked up at the screen where the countdown timer showed 8 days, 7 hours until the Void Eater's arrival. No, she said finally. We won't. Not in time. She straightened her shoulders. I'll do it. For my daughter. For everyone's children. The final test of the neural network, conducted with Dr. Morozova's patterns as the template, succeeded. 10 million volunteers linked briefly, their combined consciousness creating a stable quantum field that the sensors could detect even several light minutes away. With the proof of concept validated, preparations for the full-scale implementation began. Across human space, billions of people received neural interfaces and instructions. On the eve of the Void Eater's arrival, Captain Nakamura visited Dr. Morozova in her quarters. Is there anything you need? He asked. She looked up from the letter she was writing to her daughter. Just promise me that if this works, when this works, you'll make sure she understands why I had to do this. I swear it, he replied. Your daughter will grow up knowing her mother saved humanity. Dr. Morozova smiled sadly. That sounds so grandiose. I'm just one person doing what needs to be done, like billions of others tomorrow. Except you won't be coming back, Nakamura said quietly. No, but perhaps that's a small price for the continued existence of our species. She sealed the letter and handed it to him. It's time. They're waiting for me at the amplifier. The quantum amplifier hung in Earth orbit, a massive crystalline structure that glittered in the sunlight. At its heart was a small chamber where Dr. Morozova would serve as the focal point for humanity's collective consciousness. As technicians helped her into the specialized neural interface, Admiral Zhao approached. The Void Eaters have been detected at the edge of our solar system, she informed them. They'll reach Earth in approximately 6 hours. Dr. Morozova nodded. Then we're right on schedule. The Admiral clasped her arm in the traditional military farewell. Your sacrifice will not be forgotten, Doctor. Just make it count, Morozova replied. Then, to the technicians, I'm ready. They sealed her in the chamber and retreated to a safe distance. Only Captain Nakamura remained at the observation window. Elisa, he said over the comm, it has been the greatest honor of my life to serve with you. She smiled, the neural interface already beginning to glow as it activated. Likewise, Captain. Now go. You have a world to save. Reluctantly, he withdrew to the control center where Lieutenant Commander Chakrabarty was coordinating the global network activation. Status? Nakamura asked. Neural interfaces activating worldwide, Chakrabarty reported. Participation rate at 91% of population. Nearly 7 billion minds about to come online. On screens around them, they could see the darkness approaching, not just absence of light, but absence of everything. Where the Void Eaters passed, sensors went dead, probes vanished, and the very stars dimmed. 5 minutes to full network activation, Chakrabarty announced. 4 minutes to Void Eater contact with outer defense perimeter. Across Earth and its colonies, billions of people sat in their homes, in community centers, in stadiums and parks, the neural interfaces glowing softly against their temples. Parents held children's hands. Strangers clasped each other in solidarity. Humanity, so often divided, united in this moment of existential threat. In the amplifier's central chamber, Dr. Morozova felt the first connections forming. Thousands, then millions, then billions of minds touching hers. Not thoughts or words, but presence, intention, determination flowing through her consciousness like a river. Network at 50% capacity, Chakrabarty reported. Void Eaters breaching outer perimeter now. On the screens, they watched as the automated defense platforms fired their weapons. Particle beams, antimatter warheads, gravity disruptors, to no effect. The darkness flowed around and through them, unimpeded, unstoppable. Network at 75% capacity, quantum field stabilizing. In orbit above Earth, the amplifier began to glow with energy, the crystalline structure channeling the combined mental energy of billions of human beings. At the heart of it all, Dr. Morozova felt her individual consciousness beginning to dissolve, replaced by something larger. The collective will of humanity, focused through her like light through a lens. Network at 95% capacity. Void eaters approaching amplifier range. The darkness spread across the sky, blotting out the stars, reaching tendrils toward the bright blue planet below. Where those tendrils touched, reality itself seemed to fray and dissolve. Network at 100% capacity. Chakrabarti shouted, initiating quantum burst now. Dr. Morozova's last conscious thought was of her daughter's face. Then she was everything and everyone. The combined consciousness of humanity flowing through her, through the amplifier, and out toward the encroaching darkness. The quantum burst manifested as pure white light, not physical but something more fundamental. Reality itself concentrated and projected outward in a wave that rippled across space. Where it met the darkness, there was neither sound nor spectacle, simply a boundary where existence reasserted itself against non-existence. For an eternal moment, the two forces held in perfect balance. Then, slowly, the light began to push back the dark. In the control center, Captain Nakamura and his team watched in awe as the sensors registered the impossible, the Void Eaters retreating, their darkness dissolving before the concentrated will of humanity. "It's working," Chakrabarti whispered. "My God, it's actually working." The wave of light continued outward, driving the darkness back beyond Mars, beyond Jupiter, beyond the heliopause, and into the deep void between stars. When it was over, when the last traces of the Void Eaters had been pushed from the solar system, Captain Nakamura turned to the monitor showing the amplifier's central chamber. Where Dr. Morozova had been, there was nothing, not even dust. The energy she had channeled had consumed her completely, just as she had known it would. But in that final moment, something unexpected had happened. Something the Voxeri calculations hadn't predicted. As her physical form dissolved, Dr. Morozova's consciousness had expanded, merging with the quantum field itself. 3 days later, as humanity celebrated its survival and mourned its losses, Captain Nakamura sat alone in his quarters, staring at the stars outside his viewport. The neural network had been deactivated, the interfaces collected for study. The quantum amplifier remained in orbit, a monument to what had been accomplished and sacrificed. His comm unit chimed with an incoming message, origin unknown. When he opened it, there was no video, no audio, just text. "The darkness retreats, but it is not defeated. It will return, perhaps in centuries, perhaps in millennia. But humanity will be ready. I am watching, learning, growing. I am everywhere now, Kaito." In the quantum field, in the spaces between atoms, what was Eliza Morozova is now something more and less than human. I do not regret my choice. Tell my daughter I love her. And tell humanity to look to the stars without fear. I will be waiting. Captain Nakamura read the message 3 times before it dissolved into code and vanished from his screen. He sat in silence for a long moment, then went to his desk and composed a priority message to Admiral Zhao. Humanity had survived its first encounter with the Void Eaters, but Nakamura suspected it would not be the last. They would need to prepare, to advance, to become something greater than they had been before. And perhaps somewhere in the quantum fields that connected all existence, they would have help. An ally born from human sacrifice and alien wisdom, watching over them as they took their first uncertain steps into a universe both more wondrous and more terrifying than they had ever imagined. The Voxeri's final plea had been answered. Humanity's response had indeed been unthinkable, but it had also been unmistakably human. Creative, determined, self-sacrificing, and ultimately triumphant against impossible odds. As Captain Nakamura looked out at the stars, he wondered what other civilizations might be out there, watching, waiting to see what humanity would do next. Whatever challenges awaited them, he knew one thing with certainty: humanity would face them together, stronger for having been tested, wiser for having glimpsed the true nature of existence and non-existence alike. And somewhere beyond normal perception, Dr. Eliza Morozova, or whatever she had become, would be watching over her daughter, her species, her legacy. The darkness had retreated. The light remained. Humanity endured.